grateful to be here along with everybody else on that plane, and it was by the grace of God and a great pilot. But it was truly what you would call a surreal experience. You know, you take off and it seems like everything's all right, and within 45, 50 seconds, you hear this loud, and everybody has described it differently. I was sitting in the front of the airplane, so I probably heard it differently than people in the back. But it was, to me, it was more like a rumbling thud, and it just vibrated the plane. But at the time, strange as it seems, I was confident. I thought it was one engine. If I had known what I know now after the news last night, watching that and reading all these accounts coming home, I probably wouldn't have been as confident as I was. But I just felt like that pilot, he still had control of the plane. And I just knew that he was going to be able to get it back and land back at LaGuardia. Well, when then he turned and started down the river, you know, you realized that that wasn't going to happen because he didn't have he had no power, he had no engines. But he took that plane in, and I never had the first doubt that we were not going to make it. I mean, I just knew that we were going to make it. And he came in and landed that plane on that water just like, I mean, I've had rougher landings on a regular runway, and it was, it kind of jerked you a little bit, but then all of a sudden it just stopped dead in the water, and it was very still, and the crew was marvelous. Those doors opened just like that, and of course they were rushing you to get out of the plane, and I was one of the, first among the first group to exit out the front door. Well, you have to go down this slide. Well, even though they said nobody was in the water, believe me, they were, because I was one of them. So we were, because you have to get out of the way of the chute so other people come down it. So I said, I'm sitting there, well, I'm in the water saying, well, what should I do? So I decided, well, let me get over to the wing. So I swam over to the wing, tried to get a grip. You can't, because it was too cold and already icing up, and it just kept slipping off. So I decided, well, go back and maybe grab hold of the side of the chute. Well, you couldn't do it because the current was too strong, and by that time you are getting so cold, you can't do it. So back to the wing I go, and fortunately by that time there were a number of people that were out on the wing, and so there was nothing you could see to grip. So this one girl says, grab my hand, which I did, but then the flap on the wing was open down, so it created a little ridge, and so I just grabbed that, and then within less than 10 minutes the first ferry boat arrived. So you're trying to climb up this rope ladder like on a ship, and your hands, I mean, you're just totally numb, and you're trying to get a grip. You get up there, and actually the guy on the ferry grabbed my arm and just literally dragged me on the boat. So it was quite an experience, but we were all very grateful. And I have to say something about New York. We Southerners think that we are the ones with all the hospitality. They couldn't have been better. There's a guy at the restaurant where they took us over in New Jersey that literally gave me the shirt off his back, which I have on. And then at the Marriott Airport Hotel where I stayed last night, the guy who was the bell captain at night insisted that he go out and buy me some clothes. He bought me this sweatshirt. He even went home. He says, what size shoe do you wear? I said a 9. He went home and brought a pair of his shoes back to me to the hotel. So, this is what you run into. So they were all great. So you just can't imagine what a humbling and overwhelming experience it is to, wait a minute. The outpouring of affection that you get from your family and friends and just strangers is just amazing. So I'm grateful for that.
Nothing short of a miracle.